Welcome back to another episode of Sean and Ed's Do Baseball.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Ed's.
And we are telling baseball history stories.
That's right, we're a bi-weekly baseball history podcast where the story catcher doesn't know what the story pitcher is out there throwing them.
That's right. And I am throwing a fastball.
A fastball?
It's a fast
You said
ball.
It was a short and sweet one today.
It is a little short one, but the ball is fast.
Okay.
The ball is very fast. Edsy, before we talk about this weird thing that I'm alluding to, where can people find us?
You can find us on Twitter at Doing Baseball and on Instagram and TikTok at Doing.Baseball. And I'm on Twitter, X.com, whatever you're referring to that platform these days, at Ed's Do Baseball.
And I'm at Sean Do Baseball. And wherever you're listening to us, however you're listening to us, if you can give us a review, give us a rating, give us a follow, tell your friends, anything to help the pod, it would be fantastic.
And of course, thanks for listening.
That's right. And thank you to Two Loons Brewing. It's summertime, so grab yourself a Two Loons IPA or lager, available across Ontario at LCBOs, as well as your local watering hole or beverage establishment.
And before too long, at the brick and mortar location, which is going up.
It's going up. It's
Not
going
down.
up soon. Hopefully we'll have some more news for you on that in the next episode. But until then, go find some Two Loons. Enjoy your summer. And as always...
please be of legal drinking age. And of course, enjoy responsibly.
Okay. So you ready for this?
We did the preamble, and I am ready for that.
Ready for the pitch.
Yeah, the fastball.
The fastball. So this is going to come at you a little fast, but we've done these stories before. And in fact, I think this is the perfect amalgamation of a story ever. That just because we could take two episodes and throw them together, and it would create this episode. And the episodes I'm alluding to are the Ruth Law episode.
The grapefruit challenge.
Yeah, of the grapefruit catch, and the Gabby Street catching a ball off the Washington Monument. So if you haven't heard those episodes, great episodes. You don't need to hear them to hear this one. But it's an amazing combination, and it all centers around a young man, well, he's not really that young at the time, he's older than us, named Joseph Conrad Sprinz.
Joseph Conrad Sprinz. It makes sense why you're running through those exercises a minute ago now.
Yeah, my computer really wanted to change it to Sprint every time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Yep. So he's born August 3rd, 1902 in St. Louis, Missouri. I got very little information on Joe's childhood. There's no saber. There's the short, Wikipedia on the guy. But I did find a St. Louis Dispatch obituary that says he started his pro career playing for the Kansas City Blues of the American Association in 1922, which would have put him at 20 years old at that time. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't find anything on this. I looked at the roster and I was like, I don't see him. So, according to Baseball Reference, though, he first appears in pro ball in the D-level Southwestern League in 1924 for the Enid Harvesters in Oklahoma.
Okay.
In his first pro career, he hit .272 with 5 home runs in 108 games. And Joe was a catcher, rock solid behind the plate. And as I noted, he could hit. So his journey to the big leagues, although a little bit later than some, started. Mm-hmm. A year and a half later, in 1926, he was picked up by Des Moines of the A-Ball Western League after he hit .369 to start the season with the Harvesters. There he hit .260 in 58 games, but did not stay long. By the end of the 1927 season, he went to the Minneapolis Millers of the American Association for 11 games, where he made a great impression, hitting .292 and slugging a home run, plus 2 triples in 38 at-bats.
All right.
So
his services are just being snatched up all over the Midwest.
And he's rising.
Yeah, rising levels every time.
Yeah, and he's very close to the big leagues now. But Sprinz decides to sign with the San Francisco Seals of the Pacific Coast League.
Okay. It's a good league.
It's a good league. It's pretty much the same level as the American Association, and there was lots of, like, the DiMaggio came out of the PCL.
I was gonna say, it's like very separate from the rest of the country
but
at the
still
time.
good.
So it's well, because of that, it is good.
Yeah.
Because it was much more difficult for the best players on the West Coast
Absolutely.
to travel to the best teams in the East.
But that's the thing. It raises my eyebrows. You're playing for the Minneapolis Millers, and then you're like, I'm gonna head out west. It's like, well, you're doing pretty good.
That's true.
So either way, he goes out to the Seals, and he's their primary catcher in 1928. He played 158 games, and I should note the PCL at this time is playing like 180, 190 games a year.
Oh wow, why? Just because?
Yeah, they just
Okay.
do. They just do.
They hadn't whittled it down yet.
Yeah, and it's just a longer season, so he doesn't do as great. He at the dish, he hits 236 with 25 extra base hits and 505 at bats, but it is no matter as the Seals would win the Pacific Coast League pennant. The team went 120-71. There you go. Mm-hmm. And then they defeated the Sacramento Salons 4-2 in the PCL Championship Series.
All right.
So he wins a championship in San Francisco. He moves back to kind of the Midwest to Indianapolis of the American Association the following year, but he returns to the Bay. Let's just say San Francisco is important to this. In 1929, Sprint's bat returned to life. He hit 306 in 463 at bats. At 26, Sprinz still had legs under him as he collected 6 triples on top of 4 home runs and 17 doubles.
Well, that's pretty impressive.
So he's good. He's not Lou Gehrig, but he's good.
Yeah.
And he can hit for a decent average. So, he's getting looks. And the following year, he would make his MLB debut. So he hits 275 in 54 games with Indianapolis before his contract is purchased by Cleveland in July. It would not go well. He made his debut July 16th against Washington and went 0 for 4. He collected his first big league hit on July 21st against the Yankees' Ed Wells, but would never hit another extra base hit in the big leagues. In 17 games, Joe hit just 178 with Cleveland in 1930, and he would play one more game for the big league club, going over 3 with an RBI in 1931. And if you look on Baseball Reference, the RBI is not on the page, but if you go to the game logs, it is clearly there.
Okay. Well, that's weird.
Very weird.
That's weird, though, that it was translating every level, And then all of a sudden he gets to the big leagues and the numbers don't translate.
But it is only 17 games as well.
That's true. It is a small sample size.
But still, Sprinz, they had other options. I'm not sure if I mentioned the other guys that came up, but they had a bunch of guys around the same age. And one guy comes up and hits like 400 in September. And
what are you going to do?
Yeah. Sprinz's contract was purchased by his hometown Cardinals. He was sent to the Houston Buffaloes. Joe headed back to the American Association the next year with the Columbus Redbirds in 1932, a St. Louis affiliate. He impressed enough to get a look from the Cardinals the next year. Sprinz would only get into 3 games. He pinch hit, then finished the first game of a doubleheader. And then in the second game of the doubleheader, he played the whole game, but collectively went 0 for 5 with a walk in those games. His final appearance in the majors came on May 18th as the Cardinals got thumped 14-5 by the Brooklyn Dodgers at home. So he gets one appearance at home for the Cardinals.
No.
Sprinz relieved Jimmy Wilson in the 5th and went 1 for 2 with a single off Oni Carroll, his last big league hit. He finished his big league career with an unfortunate 170 batting average in 61 at-bats and 21 games.
That's a bummer. But still, not given really much of a chance, as you say.
Yeah, and probably at most he would have been a backup.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like, he just didn't find his place. When you're a backup catcher, there's only, 30 spots. And,
That's true.
I mean, obviously for a starting catcher, there's only 30 spots.
Yeah.
But it's just, he wasn't one of those guys. It just didn't work out. So he plays for the Baltimore Orioles in the International League before his rights are before he's traded in March 1934 for Tom Angley. And he returns to Indianapolis for the 1934 and 1935 seasons. He does okay, but at this point, Joe Sprinz was on the wrong side of 30, and it didn't look like he had a shot at getting back to the big leagues. So Sprinz decided to head back to California, this time permanently.
To the Seals?
Well, not...
Or just to California?
To California to start. He plays for the Mission Reds of the Pacific Coast League, which is another San Francisco area team. He splits games behind the plate with Bill Outen. In 1938, though, the Reds were transferred to Los Angeles and renamed the Hollywood Stars. Sprinz stayed in the Bay Area, though, and found his home again with the San Francisco Seals.
All right.
In his return to the Seals in 1938, Sprinz hit .299 over 400 at-bats and was the Seals' primary catcher at age 35. The next year, he started out even better, hitting .312 through 90 games. But unfortunately, Eds, we are not here to talk about Joe Sprinz's miraculous career rejuvenation.
His big comeback in his late 30s. We're not talking about that?
No, his career was on its way to end. He had we'll talk about it. He had a good career.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're talking about Joe Sprinz because of what happened on August 3rd, 1939.
All right.
You have any idea?
No.
No.
Of course not.
Okay, great. I don't know. I've heard that this is popular in baseball lore.
I have no idea.
Okay, so the Golden Gate International Exposition, a World's Fair type event, was taking place that year in San Francisco. The fair was supposed to run from February 18th, 1939, and close on December 2nd, 1939. So it's not a fair in the sense of we modern people think that like rolls into town for a week or for a weekend or stuff.
Yeah.
It's a whole 8
Big
months.
exhibit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time.
They used to have those.
Yeah, the things do not go well, and the exposition is losing money. So the city reached out to Charles H. Strub, part owner of the Seals, to help them turn the fair around. Strub turned to former pitcher and now PR man for the Seals, Duster Males.
Duster Males.
This guy, just write it down, Eds. John Walker, Duster Males. Yeah, he's like, we got to do something spectacular. And this guy used to pitch, but then goes into public relations and puts on crazy stunts for teams in his post-baseball career. Hence why I'm saying write him down.
Yeah.
If I had found out about Duster Males, this might have been the Duster Males episode.
Okay.
They needed an idea, and they thought, let's get our players to catch a ball thrown from really high up in the air.
Naturally.
So on May 10th, 1939, not the day in question, but on May 10th, Sprinz was one of 3 players who caught balls dropped from 437 feet by Seals manager Lefty O'Doul. So onlookers...
Where was he dropping them from?
From this big tower in the middle of the exposition, or the fair.
Okay.
It is 437 feet in the air. It's very high. 133 meters for those non-American people. So everybody's watching. They're like, wow. And I'll quote from a MILB article. With the seals in the thick of the pennant race and the World's Fair being held on Treasure Island in the middle of San Francisco Bay, the great hustler Walter Mayles negotiated a stunt in which the seals catcher would catch baseballs thrown by manager Lefty O'Doul from the 450-foot high Tower of the Sun. Sprinz caught 5 balls, Larry Woodall caught 3. The event was a success.
All right, sounds like fun was had by all.
Everybody had a good time. Yeah. And onlookers were like, wow, they caught the ball that was dropped from that really high tower. Yeah. And after the stunt, Lefty O'Doul said to the press, there will be no more of that sort of thing.
Okay. Why?
Well, he thought it was stupid.
Oh, okay. But he was a participant?
He dropped the balls to his catchers below.
He was up there and he was like, this is fucking dumb.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell everybody I'm never doing this again.
Absolutely. Think about Lefty O'Doul. He's just an old manager managing the Seals at this point. His career's old, and they're like, you gotta go climb this tower. There's no fucking elevator, Edsy. This man's in his 50s. He probably his knees hurt because of baseball.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, he had to climb a tower and then drop balls just so people could applaud. I would be pissed too. I'm feeling very Lefty O'Doul right now.
I got you. Now it seems, you make a solid point. It seems like he's lamenting the pain on his body rather than just being a curmudgeon-y old bastard.
Yeah, absolutely.
There'll be no more fun.
There's just we're done with that.
Yeah.
So he was wrong.
Okay.
So the 100th anniversary of baseball was apparently coming up, Edsy. This is 1939.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, based on the old Doubleday story.
Exactly. So not sure how they got to that, but either way, that's what they said. And the stunt had been a very big success, so the Seals and Mayles decided to up the ante. Now, as we know, Eds, the tower stunt was kind of old news at this point. Gabby Street had done it way back in 1908.
Yeah.
Other people had done it. In fact, around the same time, about 2 months, or actually not even 2 months earlier, 2 months earlier from the other one, but, around the same time they did the tower thing, the Philadelphia catcher, Dave Coble, caught a ball dropped from 521 feet from the Philadelphia City Hall, which was 90 feet higher than the 430.
Why is your City Hall so tall?
big City Hall. There's a tower, right? It's probably a clock tower. I guess
so.
Yeah. So Philadelphia outdid them by 80, 90 feet. So was the 437-foot catch really that impressive?
Not to me.
No, there's a World's Fair going on. San Francisco's reputation is at stake. So a new plan was hatched. A plan so grandiose and so 1930s that the outcome should probably have been expected by everybody, because we all know that the 1930s had the greatest of intentions and it ended in disaster.
It's true.
Although the stunt was a success, it wasn't groundbreaking or a record, the previous one. In fact, the record was set by Indians catcher Hank Helf and Frank Pitelack, who had snagged balls dropped from 705 feet from Cleveland's Terminal Tower the year before in 1938.
Why is this such a thing?
It's such a
every
thing.
city has you can see council being like, what would really get tourism up in this city? If we built a tower tall enough so that our battery mates could fucking break the record of 700 feet. Let's build an 800-foot tower.
Yeah. So they're like, not only did Philadelphia beat us, but the record, we're not even close to the record, which is 705 feet. So Shrub and Mayles need something bigger. They need something grander that had never been done before. And then the idea hit them like a Led Zeppelin.
I was going to guess hot air balloon or Zeppelin.
Mayles And I quote from the MILB article again. Not satisfied, negotiated the Great Balloon Drop, in which the catchers would attempt to catch balls thrown from a blimp circling 1,000 feet above the baseball diamond on Treasure Island.
All right, might as well.
Yeah.
That'd
And
be hard to time.
it's really hard. So they're not into it. Sprinz and I forget the other catcher's name. I think I said it, that did the other catch.
Oh, so this is someone else's idea.
Yeah, this is the president, Shrub, and
right.
and then his PR guy, Males.
Okay.
They're like, we need to do something crazier.
Oh, right, the former pitcher. That's okay, got you.
Yeah, so Males is not satisfied. He's like, let's do it. Let's get a Zeppelin and drop it from 1,000 feet. So,
What year was the Hindenburg?
Earlier.
Earlier than this. Good Lord.
Actually, we should look that up.
I'll look it up. You carry on.
So either way, Sprinz is like, that sounds like a dumb idea.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And the other catcher is like, absolutely.
The Hindenburg disaster was May 6th, 1937.
Yeah.
So it's like only 2 years before this.
Oh yeah, no, it does. It's a really bad idea. Just with everything that surrounds it. So, either way, Woodall is like, no, I'm out. Like, I'm not doing that. But Sprinz is like, I guess
I'll do it.
I'll do it.
He gets to be on the ground at least.
Yeah. Well, no, the lefty O'Doul was the guy that had to go up.
Oh, okay.
So Sprinz was the guy catching it and Woodall when O'Doul, the manager, dropped it from the tower. Now, in some accounts, they say O'Doul dropped it from the balloon or the whatever it is, but I don't think he actually did. I think O'Doul was on the ground, given the accounts that I've read. But even though we're still a few days away, and a few days away from the event, the Seals manager, Lefty O'Doul, announces to the press that Sprinz alone would attempt to establish the world record for catching a baseball, drop from the highest height ever, and now they've kind of lowered it. They're like 800 feet.
Okay.
We're going to do 800 feet. Sprinz, as I mentioned, not enthusiastic, but he's a veteran backstop. He's 37. He's turning 37, and he's like, all right, I'll do this crazy
This will be my
stunt.
claim to fame, which it is.
Yeah. And Goodyear had built observation balloons and blimps for the U.S. military in World War I. Goodyear President Paul W. Litchfield became a bit obsessed with the giant airships and thought blimps would become, and I quote, the yachts of the sky.
The yachts of the sky. Imagine that. That'd be sick if that did happen.
I don't think it would. Just rich people floating around everywhere.
Very like steampunk dystopian.
Yes. Very Fifth
I've
Element.
seen Wild Wild West.
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess Fifth Element's a little bit, yeah.
That's cyberpunk.
Yeah, that's, sorry. So, in 1924, Goodyear entered into a relationship with German airship manufacturer Zeppelin, and the following year began advertising on giant airships. The airships toured the world, and one happened to be visiting San Francisco. So on August 3rd, 1939, the San Francisco Seals organized for the Goodyear blimp to hover 800 feet over the ball field on Treasure Island.
All right, sweet.
You see
I
the
wish I could've
connection
seen
from the
this.
last story now? Goodyear.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
Goodyear Tire Company.
Yeah. Just an aside, August 3rd, the day of the stunt, also happened to be Joe Sprinz's 37th birthday. And trust me, he would remember this.
He would never
birthday.
forget this one.
The blimp's captain was A.J. Sewell. He was a World War I fighter and bomber pilot. And instead of O'Doul, he would be the one dropping the ball to Sprinz below.
Okay.
So he
Probably a good guy to drop it.
Yeah. High in the sky, 800 feet above, Sewell moved the blimp into position. There was a crowd of about 15,000 people gathered to watch the stunt, followed by a baseball game. It might have been in the middle of a baseball game. Who the fuck knows?
It's time for the 7th inning catch.
So Sprinz readied himself on the field, no doubt squinting up and realizing, oh shit, this is going to be really hard.
Yeah.
And the balls began to drop, one at a time. Lefty O'Doul, Sprinz manager, watched from the sidelines as the first 4 balls came crashing down to earth. And Sprinz tried and failed to make the catch, although some balls fell well beyond his reach. Lefty could barely see the balls being dropped until they were close to the ground, and said when he finally saw them, they looked like aspirin tablets, not baseballs. According to one,
going like 1 billion miles an hour.
We get to that.
Okay.
According to one account, one of the balls hit a bleacher seat in the stadium, smashing it to pieces.
Oh my God.
The next thumped into the outfield grass. The ball did not bounce, but burrowed into the dirt.
Jesus Christ. And it's just like he's throwing them down there all willy-nilly. Like they're just, you said one hit the bleacher seat.
Well, you're 800 feet in the air.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying that you could aim well. It's just, fuck, they didn't think this out very good.
No. No, they didn't. No. So some say it was the 3rd ball, but most accounts say it was the 5th. So we're going to go with the 5th.
All right.
But after seeing the bleachers explode and a ball just embed itself in the earth, O'Doul had an oh fuck moment and realized that Joe might be in danger. He started onto the field to call off the stunt, but the 5th ball had been dropped, and Sprinz was actually under this one.
Oh no. Oh God, no.
Sewell, the blimp captain, watched from 800 feet above as the 5th ball fell towards the earth. He later told reporters he thought that Sprinz had it. From the ship, it looked as if he hit his glove. He continued, he walked quite a ways, then sat down. Then some persons crowded around him, and we saw he was lying down.
Oh, God. So it hit him in the head.
From the ground, the accounts are much less benign.
All right.
Charlie Graham, president of the Seals, like the Seals also, there's a few people that own them. There's like a 3-way split. Charlie Graham is one of the owners and president. He told the local reporter, the ball came down true, and Joe was right under it. He gauged it perfectly, but he attempted to catch the ball over his face, like he catches fairly high foul flies.
Oh my God. Can only imagine what's about to happen. And what you're about to tell me.
Well, and I wrote, here's the problemo, Eds. The average pop fly is not coming from 800 feet. We know this because of Robert Israel's paper with UBC from the Gabby Street episode, that a pop fly can at most go about 200 feet in the air.
Yeah.
At most. Like very rarely would, but at most about 59.3 meters or roughly 200 feet.
So let's times that by 4.
4. Sprinz was right under the ball that was estimated to be traveling about 154 miles per hour.
Jesus fuck. Miles.
Yeah, you'll see some accounts that say 145. You'll see others that say higher, but it's
splitting hairs at this point, man.
It's as fast as a baseball could travel.
Yeah.
And before anybody gets on Twitter and yells at us about this, the balls were different back then. They were a little heavier as well. So this is terminal velocity for a baseball. And physicist David Halliday even used this as an example of terminal velocity in his physics textbook, The Fundamentals of Physics, which nobody cracked open because it wasn't written yet, but no physicist was included in this stunt.
Yeah.
We very much know that. Harry Borba, a sports writer for the San Francisco Examiner, would write, Few realize just how close Joe Sprinz stood to death in that fleeting split of a second when the ball crashed through his upraised hands.
So like he went like this.
Yeah.
Split the D.
Well, Sprinz said he caught it. The ball slammed into the pocket of Sprinz catching it, which was only inches above his face.
Oh no. He's not strong enough to stop the recoil.
I did some look on this. I did some research on this.
Okay.
And from my math skills, I was able to disseminate that ball hit his glove with about 4 tons of force.
Oh my God.
The impact of the ball hitting his glove rendered it essentially useless. The ball crashed through it and into his face. According to Borba, and I quote, Sprinz staggered a few steps as he grasped his mouth with both hands. He fell forward and writhed in agony as his teammates rushed forward. When he fell face forward, a muffled groan from the crowd went up.
Oh my God. No doubt.
So he
didn't die.
He's
obviously.
unconscious. He's very unconscious.
Okay. Got a few steps there and then passed out face first.
Yeah.
Okay. And then went that was the crowd.
Yeah, the crowd was like, "Oh, that was bad."
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, I think the ball went into his glove, but his glove flies off, it's like
it flopped.
Yeah, the glove boot, and then just the glove goes so he's grabbing his face and stumbles and then falls face forward is how you'll see it in pictures too. Mm-hmm. He's on the ground face first, and then when he kind of regains a bit of consciousness, he's on his knees on the ground. So the force of the ball slammed his glove hand into his face with such force that it caused very severe injuries. You ready for this, Eds?
I am ready.
Sprinz had broke his upper jaw in 12 places, lost 8 teeth, and had a broken nose. According to one writer, suffered ragged lacerations to both his upper and lower lips.
Oh my God! So he's just shredded.
So I think it just hits right on his upper here, and it just breaks open this side, and it's just all his face.
Yeah.
And he broke his jaw in 12 places. He lost 8 teeth. I don't know if I saw it. So just teeth, jaw, nose.
How you break your jaw in 12 places and have it be able to be reconstructed.
Shattered.
Yeah.
Just shattered.
That's insane.
Well, this is one of those happier stories where the person lives a long life. I'm just going to give that away that's now. He's a mess, though, and he's face first on the ground. His teammates and coaches, Lefty O'Dougal's I said there was going to be no more of this.
Remember when I said that'll be enough of that or whatever I did say?
Yeah, so Sprinz is carried off the field in a stretcher. One onlooker said his face resembled a squashed tomato, but he's alive. He regains consciousness. He's taken to the hospital. I love newspapers back in the day that were just so matter of fact about things. So this is the United Press reporter. And I quote, Joe Sprinz is in hospital with his face held together with surgical wire because he tried to catch a baseball falling at a speed of 145 miles an hour and failed.
Alright, well, yeah. That is what happened.
There's no it hit his face. Yeah. It's just no, he tried to do this. It failed, and he is held together by wire.
That is the thing. It's kind of, I do find that about old-timey newspapers, is they're either very matter-of-fact without much description, or they're completely over-the-top descriptive with poetic language.
Yeah. So somehow, the next day, through wired jaw and his head wrapped in bandages, Sprinz managed to give an interview with the media. I'm sure he's just writing stuff.
Yeah. It's got a chalkboard.
He told them that he had the ball judged all the way and that it was his glove hitting his face that had caused all the damage. So he's maintaining it went in the glove.
Yeah.
and then hit his face.
If I had a Rawlings glove.
Sprinz said that he was more upset by his failure to hold on to the ball than he was, and I quote, hurt by his hurts.
Right. I think his hurts are hurting his brain functionality.
He's severely concussed. Yeah. And once again, how do other people die in this man lives?
That is true.
We have covered
a good question.
At least 2 people that have died by balls thrown.
I was amazed to hear that he didn't, like, that he even took a few steps away from the scene when he got hit, let alone survived, and was able to say about how his hurts hurt him or whatever you just said.
Well, that's in the hospital. And in the hospital as well, Charles Graham, the team president, announced to the press there will be no more stunts by the team.
Now there will officially be no more of that.
So just as your last choice, should have listened to the manager. So Sprinz injuries, as you could guess, took months to heal, and he was out for the remainder of the 1939 season. The Seals fell out of contention for the pennant and finished 4.5 games back of Seattle. Remember, he was hitting well before this. Seals fell in 5 games, eventually to the champion Sacramento Saloons. So, the next year, it's all healed up. Joe returns. And in spring training, he claims that he's just as good as he was before.
I'm in the best shape of my life.
37 years old with
an eyelid, Joe.
You don't have a left side of your face.
I can't miss. I'm always watching.
Always got my eye on the ball.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm good. And I have no idea how he played defensively, but he wasn't as good at hitting. In the next 3.5 years with the Seals, he collected 826 plate appearances and had a dismal .297 on base percentage with 22 extra base hits, but no home runs. So,
bummer.
Over like 4 years or 3 years, I don't know. He only gets 800 at bats and he sucks. And he's 40, and you're like, well, he's probably done, right? But the Seals turned into a dynasty in the 40s, and Sprinz played well into his 40s.
Okay.
They won the PCL championship from 1943 through 1946. Sprinz was used sparingly by the Seals, but put some surprisingly good numbers up for his age. So his age 41 through 43 seasons.
Like step into the plate or there'd be pitchers that had never heard of him and just they'd look at him and be like, oh God, get completely distracted.
He's just a monster.
Yeah.
So in his last 3 seasons in baseball, he puts up a .378 on base percentage in 785 plate appearances.
That's okay.
Yeah, so he's
for an old guy.
Yeah, he's getting like 260 plate appearances a year, getting on base most of the time. He's doing good. He collects
like Matt Stairs without the home runs.
Yeah, I was just about to say he collects another 14 extra base hits, but 0 home runs. At this point, he's beyond hitting home runs. Sprinz retires from playing after the 1946 season. He's like 44 years old at this time, so pretty good long career. 23 seasons. We know baseball or major league wise, he just didn't get a shot really to be a true backup or a true starting catcher in the major leagues. After his retirement, he worked as a coach with the Seals as well as for the team's front office as a scout. And I kind of found a funny story about him being thrust into being manager at a game because the manager got thrown out of the game.
Of the Seals?
Yep. So I quote, this is May 1st, 1950. So Sprinz would have been 48, something like that at this point.
So he's still playing at this point?
No, he's a coach.
Oh, he's a coach.
He's like an assistant coach or whatever.
I got you.
So that's what I mean. Like he plays until he's 44, and then but he just sticks with the Seals, and he just found a home. Like, that's the cool part. Like, that's the least they could do for him.
Yeah. Yeah. They put him up to this damn stunt.
Yeah.
Smashed his face.
Yeah, he just lives out his days in San Francisco, like, working for the SEALs. I'll get to it.
That's all right.
But I found this article from the San Francisco Examiner, May 1st, 1950. And this is just fantastic old-time baseball. The encounter was further enlivened by an argument that resulted in acting manager Del Young and shortstop Roy Nicely of the Seals being put off the field by umpire Ralph Cunningham. In the 6th inning, Nicely protested a called strike and was ejected. Young took up the beef and was also given the out signal. While the argument raged, some exuberant fan came down out of the stands and began dusting off home plate.
A fan came out? Started sweeping it off. What a move!
I continue.
I love passive aggressive like statements like that.
Love it.
You know,
you are trespassing onto the field not to be the center of attention, but to make sure that the umpire can see home plate. The story continues. The fan, was led away. Coach Joe Sprinz, acting for the acting manager, wound up as the visiting general.
All right. What a sweet way to end up there.
Yeah. So, later Sprinz...
Did they win?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck about that game.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Later Sprinz would work with Little League Baseball. I think that was Joe Sprinz' only time as, like, head manager, though. Uh-huh. So that's kind of why I included it. Sorry. Uh-huh. So, later Sprinz would work with Little League Baseball in San Francisco Parks and Recreation Department. He helped develop inner city baseball there. He lived a long and, by the sounds of it, good life. But, as you noted, he would always be remembered for the attempted catch that nearly killed him on his 37th birthday in 1939.
Jesus Christ, what a birthday. You said he wouldn't forget it.
In a 1988 interview, Joe Sprinz said, and I quote, "It was a screwy idea, I know, but I never gave a thought to what could happen."
Guess not. You probably wouldn't have done that.
No. Joe Sprinz died January 11th, 1994, at age 91 in Fremont, California. He was 91.
Wow, that's quite a run after getting smashed in the face like 50 years before that.
Yeah. And I have a bit of a secondary piece to this. So he didn't hold on to the ball. We know that.
Yeah.
Right? And you can read out there's different people that say different stuff. But, the Guinness Book of World Records, I believe, recognized him in 1994, probably after his death. He probably died. There was probably a few news stories about it. Mm-hmm. And then the Guinness Book of World Records was like, we should include him somehow. Okay. And some people will say he was put in the Guinness Book of World Records for highest catch. Mm-hmm. But he didn't hold on to
catch it. So.
The ball destroyed his jaw. Yeah. I don't know how that's
highest incomplete pass ever.
So I believe that's what, and there's an article I read that was I looked at the Guinness World Record. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find anything about it.
You looked at the 94 Guinness World Record?
No, because I did read other articles where people read about it, including a small town where they were reading about it in the Guinness World Records, and then these two fucking yokels decided to catch a ball off the water tower or something like that, and it made the local newspaper. I don't know.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, exactly. So, not to call people yokels. I don't know.
Who would do that in my hometown?
No, I'm not. Whoever you hate, that's who I was referring to. Anyways. So I believe he was put in as the highest attempted catch. In 2012 and 2013, Zach Hampel decided to try and break Sprinz's record. He
died.
And that was the end of Zach Hampel.
No, he didn't die.
No, he didn't.
Obviously
he didn't.
Not.
But Hampel wore protective gear, including a catcher's mask, helmet, and reinforced breastplate.
That's smart.
Yeah,
because he'd heard all these other stories.
Yeah. And Hampel caught a baseball drop from a helicopter at 1,050 feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Way to go, Zach Hampel.
Sure. I don't know who really Zach Hempel is. You bought, or like you didn't really buy him. You gave me a book by him once. I feel like he's one of those people that like everybody hates because you're supposed to hate him, but like nobody knows him because he's like the ball guy and he just
Is that guy?
I think so.
Oh, fuck
I
that
don't
guy
know.
if that's him.
Yeah, but exactly. Who cares? Like, I don't even know who that is. But he tried. He just like, oh, I'm gonna do it. But he was smart and didn't die or break his jaw in 12 places. But he was not officially recognized because, although invited, nobody from the Guinness Book of World Records attended.
They were like, whatever. We don't give a shit.
And that's the story of Joe Sprinz catch.
Wow, what a
catch.
You know, Sean, when we started this podcast, I never thought that the most recurring episode was going to be about attempting to catch balls from extraordinary heights.
Yeah, but most importantly, different ways of getting the ball to that height.
Yeah, no, you've made
airplanes.
You've made
blimps,
3 very solid distinctions.
Towers.
You know,
how can we change it?
I don't know. I look forward to your 4th episode about catching a ball from an extraordinary height.
Well,
next year.
Yeah, well, if this is 110, so it'll be about 145-ish.
Yeah, we'll get in there somewhere.
We'll get in there.
Well, thank you for that story.
Yeah, I was going to say, until next time, tune in 2 weeks for another crazy story from baseball history. But until then, where can people find us, Edsy?
People can find us on Twitter at Doing Baseball and on Instagram and TikTok at Doing.Baseball. And I'm on Twitter,
whatever.
X.com, whatever you're calling it these days, at Eds Do Baseball. And he's at Sean's Do Baseball. He's taking a sip of Two Loons Brewing IPA right now. And that's our sponsor. And,
and that's the end of the podcast. Yes. So until next time,
please enjoy responsibly.
And I'm Sean.
And be of legal drinking age.
Stop giving that. Why are you so concerned? I'm Sean.
And I'm Ed.
And we were bringing you the baseball.
Okay, bye.